Hello, welcome to another devlog episode of the Runes of Aereal. And this time we're making good progress on the shopping interface. So the shopping interface, as we started in our last devlog, is continuing here, and I've made a lot of progress, though it's not perfect yet. So it constructs out of two areas. Here the Achilles is the hero, which has 10,250 coins, and then some merchant. That merchant name is going to be randomized in the future and stuff, and it has, or he has, or she has 8,950. So the idea is that the hero and the merchant can swap things. So it's not only possible for the hero to buy stuff from the merchant, it should also be possible to sell stuff to the merchant. So cards he doesn't need anymore, some loot he grabbed here and there, spellbooks he doesn't need and stuff like that can be sold to the merchant, and then some cards or scrolls or whatever the merchant has and the hero is interested should be able to be bought. So actually there is a trading going on, and trading of course can also be done with coins. So the idea is that the left side here is the hero area. This is the merchant area at the right hand side. Whenever you hover over something, you will see, for example, this invigoration card. We can sell it for 2,200 coins. If we hover here to the right, we see, for example, the Demon Shield card, which is can be bought for 2,250 coins, which is originally 2,500 coins, but because of the barter skill, which is increased, it has a 10% discount. So the barter skill already comes into play here, so there's a discount. We can switch tabs. For example, we can go here and we can get to the different scrolls. You can see that here, to the different artifacts, some items here, and some spellbooks. The same things should be happening here at the right hand side, but you can see that there might be still some bugs in there. Never mind that, I'm going to fix that later. So the idea is that you have two sections here. This is the buy sell section, and this is the inventory section, sorry, and this is the buy sell section here at the bottom. So the inventory contains the actual inventory of all of the things that the hero owns, right? And here is the things, we can drag things in here, and that means we have now are willing to sell this Demon Shield card. And then we can see here, whenever we're not hovering over something, so there's no preview showing, we can see here we have one card in our basket, being the Demon Shield, with a total of 2,200 coins. But we cannot trade right now because the basket is not balanced. It means that the merchant should put something in its basket, whether it be coins, whether it be other stuff, that balances out this this trade here. So what we can do, for example, is put this in here, and then the trade is still not balanced because here we have 50 coins short. We can click the balance here, and then the game will automatically add 50 coins here. So for example, I could add the scrolls here, and now it's not balanced again. If I click here, then it will add 1,150 coins here for this trade from the merchant side. So this is automatically going, and then we can click trade, and then it is traded. So how does this all work? Well, actually there's one shop interface, this shop interface here, and you can see all of those shop icon boxes. And these shop icon boxes here, they have an actor, and an actor can be either hero or merchant. They have an area, which can be either inventory or buy sell. And of course there is a row, a column, and an index to make sure that we can rearrange all of the stuff inside the different boxes here with a row, a column index, and an index, a running index. So let's go and look how this works. So let's start with saying that the event sheet, there's only one event sheet for the shop, and it's split into 3 different parts here: the interaction, the logic, and the functions. Important to know that for the shop we introduced a new family called a tradable, to be able to treat spellbooks, scrolls, cards, loot items and stuff like that all in the same manner. I created a tradable family, and all of those cards and artifacts and whatever what have you is here in this tradable family. So an object like a card can be in multiple families, of course. So it's now in cards, it's in tradable, it's in loot, so it's in hintable. So you can see that the tradable will act as like a family which will be treated here in the shop interface as one. So in the interaction we have a tab button, and the tab button is here, that button at the left hand side, these buttons here. So we change the shop tab based on the tab button actor and the tab button type, and the tab button actor is here hero, and this is card, for example. This is the hero scrolls, this is the hero artifact, etc. So this is function is being called, and then there's a lot of drag and drop going on. But the logic for dragging and dropping is usually pretty much the same. It's the same as if you're dragging a card, or if you're dragging a scroll, or if you're dragging something else. It's just dragging something. And that's why I separated the drag drop and drag start into separate functions, where the parameter of that function will be able to receive a tradable UID. So that's where the new family comes into play. You give it a tradable UID to that shop handle drag drop or shop handle drag start. So here is also the logic for mouse hover over a preview, and shop show preview and shop hide preview, which I'll come back to in a minute. And then there's the balancing of the basket and the trading itself. And these are all split into different functions just to make it more easier to handle. So now let's look at those different functions here. So as you might have gathered from previous videos, I'm a big fan of functions because they really separate the logic, and you can easily change those functions, and it will have repercussions over your whole game, how it works. So the shop change tab, as you saw, it will just inverse the tab button itself to indicate that that tab has been selected, and then it will just call another function called shop rearrange tab, because the rearrange tab will take care of arranging all of the tradable items in the inventory. So in the rearrange tab we say for this actor in this area we rearrange, and we do it with an animation, or we do not do it with an animation. That's what we say here. So for example, for the heroes inventory, the scrolls, rearrange them and do it animated or not. So why do we sometimes do it animated or not? If the screen opens, then we should see the cards, because this is the first tab that's being selected, but it shouldn't be animated. It just show the cards as they are. It's only when we drag a card out of the inventory and into the buy-sell area, into the basket really, that the other cards should really rearrange themselves, and at that time it should be animated. So that's why this is a flag, 0 or 1. 0 means don't animate, and 1 means animate. So this is this function rearrange tab, where we first pick all of the tradables for that actor, for that area, for everything which is not the type we're passed along, and we set it to a position somewhere far beyond the scope of the user interface. And then we pick everything here. We say if it's inventory, then pick the actor. Okay, so it's a formula to pick all of the corrected tradables, and then for each of those tradables, we pick the correct shop item boxes, and we move them to the position of that shop item boxes using a counter. So we start at counter 0 here. That's a local variable initialized at 0, and then we just loop to the counter, and we use actually the index here, shop icon box index, as that counter to check whether it's supposed to be in that box or not. So that's what happened actually. So the drag start will indicate that we are dragging, and we will keep track of the original box where we drag from, because if we drag it somewhere over in an area of the interface where you cannot drop it, it should just go back to the original spot. So that's what we did here. And then what we do here is, so here we check if we start with put away 0. So standard we don't put away, but if we do put away, then we set the position to far away. We set the area to inventory, and we should rearrange the tab, and we construct the basket actually. So put away means that it will go back to the inventory area, I believe. So this, if we're not putting away, then we're booking the area. So starting from the fact that we are starting from an area, we were dropping over an area, and if we the area is an inventory, then we set the icon box. So wait a minute. Alright, yeah. So we check here if we're dropping over an area, if it's the correct area. So if the area of the tradable area is inventory, then we should have an item box that is buy sell, and if the area of the tradable is inventory, then it should be buy sell, vice versa. So that means that the tradable itself, if you go and look at the tradable, it has an area itself. So once a tradable is dropped on a certain area, the area becomes inventory or buy sell. So what we do here is, if it's coming from the buy sell area, it should only be dropped on an inventory or vice versa. So if that's not the case, so in this else, but we set this for put back to 1, and if it's for put back, then we just tween towards the original position, shop original box here. So that's what we do. So we check if it's valid, and if it's valid, then we rearrange the tabs, the inventory and the buy sell area, and we construct the basket. And if it's not the correct area, we put it back. That's what happens here. So let me demonstrate that for a while. So now for this card, for example, the area would be inventory, and these shop icon boxes here, the shop boxes will also be inventory, and these will be buy sell. So if I go and drop it here somewhere, it should go back, and that's the put away, and this is the put back, you see there. And if we drop it here, it's also not correct because it's the wrong merchant. Only if it's here, then it should be in there. And now if I do this, it's still in the wrong area because it's putting it back right here. So, and now if I drop it here, it should be back there. So that's what happens with the drag drop logic here. So the shop create content is called at the beginning of the opening of the shop area, because in the beginning of the shop area, actually what happens is all of the items that are in the shop are created all at once, but they're only created far beyond the visible area of the shop, -1000, -1000, you can see that here. So it's created on the content layer here, and we do everything in the deck available, everything in the inventory scroll, everything in the crafting, everything in the after effect, everything in the spellbooks. We can all sell all of this, and then for the merchant we do exactly the same thing, but we do loop over with the loop cards. We loop over what we do is we do a loop from 1 to 1 plus floor random 10. It means it will generate, based on a probability table called merchant cards, it will generate 10 up to 1 to possibly 10 different cards. That's what it will do. So it can be only 1 card, but it can also be 10 cards, depending on the end index of this loop. And then we set this object to advanced random.wait, because then it will listen to this merchant cards probability table. And it will create that card, do some stuff here, and set the discount value depending on the shop discount percentage. And this shop discount percentage is here, this variable which is set here. And it will do exactly the same thing for scrolls and for etc, etc. So we can randomize, we can change, we can tweak this depending on the level. Maybe we can do this later on. Depending on the level, we can have more or less, or depending on the difficulty level of the game, for example, we can spawn more or less of these things. Then for the preview here says, okay, we get this tradable, which is used to be previewed, and then we can hide some things we don't need anymore. We can make it text. We pick this tradable and we set the area to preview, so it's not inventory or buy sell. And then what we do is we take into account this the shop discount percentage here. And what we do is we use BB text. Excuse me. We use BB text. So what we do here is we use BB text to distinguish between the discounted original value and the discounted value here. So the S for strike through. That depending on what type of tradable it is. So a tradable will have also a type. And it can be card, scroll, artifact, spellbook, etc. Depending on the type of tradable it is, then we will do other stuff. For example, for the scroll, we disable the grayscale and we set the scroll scale to 0.5. And then for high preview, we will do the reverse thing, of course. We will show things that need to be shown and hide things that need to be hidden, and also destroy this tradable with Aereal area preview. And then the construction of the basket is pretty simple. We check for everything which is in the basket, and then we append some lines to those texts. We do the same for the merchant here, and then we toggle the trade button, because the trade button is depending on if the hero of the total is the total of the hero, sorry, is the total of the merchant, then we should be able to trade or not. The basket is not balanced. Then we do some logic to balance this effectively. So this is some logic that's going to check if the merchant has more in his basket than the hero, then the hero should add some coins, or vice versa. And it also checked if both one of those merchants, if both of the merchant and the hero have sufficient funds to be able to pay for those goods. So that's what the shop balance basket does. And also it checks here, this is the logic that checks if it's tradable, yes or no, depending on how much the hero owes or the merchant owes. And then the trade here is basically we remove things from inventory and we add things to the inventory, and then we set the basket. That's basically what happens. So in the logic, not too many fancy things, only some updating of the HUD, and on start of layout some testing stuff, because of course at the moment of recording of this video we don't have an integration of that shop yet into our game. So that's pretty much it for the shop. At this time we'll be extending this further in the rest of the game, and when we integrate the shop into the map interface. So as always, please like and subscribe, and see you next time.